The evening rain hammered against the taxi window as I made my way home through the darkened streets. My heart was light despite the weather. I'd closed the Thompson deal 3 days ahead of schedule, a victory that would secure our financial future for years to come. After 12 years of building my consulting empire from nothing, sacrificing sleep and personal time, I could finally breathe. I'd built everything for us. For Marcus. So my husband could pursue his passion for art without the pressure of being the breadwinner. So he could hold his head high when his family asked what he did for a living. The taxi pulled into the underground parking structure. That's when I saw it. A silver Lexus in my reserved spot. The one I'd paid $60,000 to secure in this downtown building. My stomach tightened. I recognized that car immediately. It belonged to Elena, my younger sister. Why would Elena be here on a Thursday afternoon? I whispered to myself. David's out of town supervising the hotel renovation. She should be at her boutique. I pushed the thought away. Maybe she needed Marcus's help with something. Maybe she was dropping off documents for David. Perfectly innocent explanations. The elevator ride to the 22nd floor felt longer than usual. My reflection in the polished door showed a woman who looked older than her 38 years. Designer suit crisp, but dark circles betraying countless sleepless nights hunched over proposals and presentations. I approached our apartment quietly, wanting to surprise Marcus. Instead of using my keys, I pressed my thumb against the biometric lock. The soft click seemed to echo in the silent hallway. The apartment was dim, curtains drawn against the afternoon light. The air held a strange tension. My usual jasmine diffuser mixed with an unfamiliar sweetness. I slipped off my heels about to call out Marcus's name when I heard it. Voices. From our bedroom. Not conversation. Moans. Heavy breathing. The unmistakable sounds of passion. My blood turned to ice, then to fire. Every muscle in my body locked as I crept toward the partially open bedroom door. Through the narrow gap, I could see them. 2 bodies intertwined on the silk sheets I'd changed before my trip. Marcus. And Elena. His voice cut through me like shattered glass. God, you're incredible, baby. So different from her. My wife's become nothing but a walking ATM. All business, no passion. Looking at her doesn't even turn me on anymore. Elena giggled, breathless. But what if she comes home early? That ice queen? She said Monday. And even if she showed up, I'd tell her you needed help with plumbing. She's so naive. She believes everything I say. My world shattered in that moment. But I didn't scream. Instead, I pulled out my phone and pressed record. 2 minutes. That's all I needed to bury this marriage forever. My hands trembled violently as I held my phone steady, capturing every horrifying second through that narrow door opening. The raw footage was damning. Their faces clearly visible. Their words crystal clear. Their betrayal undeniable. When I'd recorded enough evidence, I backed away slowly, controlling my breathing like I'd learned in those high-pressure boardroom negotiations. I couldn't fall apart. Not yet. I grabbed my suitcase, opened the front door just wide enough to slip through, and closed it with barely a whisper. In the hallway, I pressed my back against the wall, gasping for air like I'd been underwater too long. The taxi ride to Claire's house passed in a blur. Claire, my college roommate, now my attorney, the only person I could trust with this nightmare. When she opened her door and saw my face, her expression shifted from surprise to alarm. Valerie? What happened? You look. I thrust my phone at her, the video already cued. She watched in silence, her jaw tightening with each passing second. When it ended, she looked at me with fury burning in her eyes. Those absolute bastards, she breathed. Then she grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to meet her gaze. Valerie, listen to me very carefully. Do not confront them. Not yet. If you go in there screaming, you'll lose everything, your dignity, your assets, your power. You need to stay cold. Make them destroy themselves. Her words penetrated the fog of my shock. She was right. I was Valerie Chun, a woman who'd negotiated million-dollar deals with Fortune 500 executives. I couldn't let raw emotion make me stupid now. After a few hours of rest and strategic planning, I carefully applied makeup to hide my swollen eyes and hollow cheeks. Claire watched me transform back into the composed businesswoman the world knew. You're going back there? She asked. I have to. The performance starts now. It was nearly 9 p.m. when I returned home, deliberately making noise as I entered. Marcus! Honey, I'm home. I missed you so much. The apartment erupted in frantic activity. Footsteps, rustling, muffled voices. Marcus appeared from the bedroom, hair slightly disheveled, wearing pajamas he'd obviously just thrown on. His eyes darted across my face, searching for suspicion. Babe, I thought you weren't coming back until Monday? Why didn't you call? I smiled sweetly, setting down my bags. The deal closed early. I wanted to surprise you. I reached up to straighten his collar. Aren't you happy to see me? He pulled me into an embrace that felt like embracing a snake. Of course. You just startled me. I was taking a nap. As his arms encircled me, I noticed something that confirmed what I already knew. The scent of my sister's signature perfume, the Chanel No. 5 I'd given her last Christmas, clung to his skin like a confession. But I said nothing. Not yet. The game had only just begun, and I intended to win. I pulled away from Marcus's embrace, feigning exhaustion. I need a shower. I feel like I've been traveling for days. Let me make you something to eat first, he offered, his voice dripping with false concern. Maybe later. I just want to clean up. I walked into our bedroom and immediately noticed it, the sheets. Before I left, I'd put on our expensive charcoal gray Egyptian cotton set, the ones that cost $800. Now, the bed was made with cheap floral pattern sheets I'd relegated to the back of the linen closet years ago. Marcus! I called out, keeping my tone light and curious. Why did you change the sheets? I just put the nice ones on before I left. He appeared in the doorway so fast he nearly tripped. Oh, yeah. I spilled red wine all over them earlier. Knocked over a whole glass while watching TV. Had to throw them in the wash. Such a clumsy lie. Any fool could see through it. You were drinking red wine? In bed? In the afternoon. I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I had a stressful day. Needed to unwind. I nodded slowly, as if accepting this absurd explanation. Well, be more careful next time. Those sheets were expensive. In the bathroom, I locked the door and turned the shower to full blast to muffle any sound. Then I sat on the closed toilet lid and stared at my reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was a stranger, hollow-eyed, pale, defeated. But no tears came. Instead, I felt something cold and hard crystallizing in my chest. This wasn't grief anymore. This was calculation. That night, I lay on the far edge of our king-sized bed, my body rigid and turned away from Marcus. The bed that had once felt like a sanctuary now felt contaminated. When he tried to spoon me, wrapping his arm around my waist, I flinched involuntarily. I'm exhausted, Marcus. Please. He sighed dramatically and rolled over. Within minutes, his snoring filled the room. At 2:17 a.m., according to the clock on my nightstand, I made my move. Marcus's phone lay face down beside him, just within reach. I'd watched him enter his passcode dozens of times over the years. He'd never bothered to hide it from me, his trusting wife. I carefully lifted his limp hand and used his fingerprint to unlock the device. The screen glowed softly in the darkness, illuminating my face with cold blue light. What I found in the next 10 minutes would have broken a weaker woman. But I wasn't weak anymore. I was a woman with a mission. And I was methodical about collecting evidence. Every text, every bank transfer, every incriminating photo, screenshotting it all and sending it to my own secure cloud storage. The messages were worse than I'd imagined. Hundreds of them, hidden in an app disguised as a calculator. I scrolled through months of their affair. Explicit photos, romantic declarations, detailed plans for meetings when I was away on business trips. But it was the financial records that made my blood boil. I opened his banking app, the account I trustingly allowed him to manage for household expenses. Transaction after transaction told the story of my husband's betrayal. Transfer: $5,200. For my angel. Transfer: $1,438. 143 means I love you. Credit card payment: $12,500. Tiffany and Company. My mind flashed back to 3 weeks ago. Marcus had come home looking devastated, claiming the gallery he worked at had cut everyone's commissions due to slow sales. He said he couldn't contribute to the mortgage that month. I'd felt sorry for him, transferred $8,000 to his account without hesitation, told him not to worry about money. That same week, he bought my sister a $12,500 necklace. I took screenshots of everything, every transaction, every transfer, every purchase. The pattern was clear. I earned the money, deposited it into our joint accounts, and he siphoned it off to fund his affair with my own sister. The calculator showed simple math. Over the past 8 months, approximately $67,000 of our family money had vanished into this black hole of betrayal. I carefully returned his phone to its exact position and lay back down, my heart pounding so hard I was sure it would wake him. But Marcus just snored peacefully, oblivious to the meticulous dismantling of his life I was orchestrating in the darkness. The next morning I woke early and prepared breakfast as usual: scrambled eggs, fresh fruit, coffee. Playing the devoted wife required commitment to detail. Marcus shuffled out of the bedroom yawning. "Wow, breakfast. You're amazing, babe." I poured his coffee, then casually dropped my first small bomb. "Hey, funny thing. When I got out of the taxi yesterday, I saw Elena's car in my parking spot. Strange, right? David's out of town, and Elena should have been at her boutique. Did she stop by?" Marcus's hand froze halfway to his mouth, the toast suspended in air. His face went through 3 distinct color changes: pale red, then sickly gray. "Elena? Here?" "I don't think so. Maybe you saw wrong." "No, it was definitely her car. I even checked the license plate." I smiled innocently. "The parking garage attendant said it was there for over 3 hours yesterday afternoon. I thought maybe you'd know why." He set down the toast, suddenly very interested in his coffee. "I was at the studio all day. Maybe she dropped something off for David? Left it with the doorman." His voice had gone up half an octave, the telltale sign of a liar scrambling for cover. Maybe." I bit into my own toast, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. "I'll text her later and ask." His coffee cup rattled against the saucer as he set it down, betraying the panic he was trying so hard to hide. Over the next few days I became an actress worthy of an Oscar. Every morning I made breakfast. Every evening, I asked about Marcus's day with genuine seeming interest. Every night I lay beside him in bed, pretending to sleep while my mind worked through strategies. But I was also tightening the psychological noose bit by bit. 3 nights after my return over dinner, I launched my next careful strike. "Marcus, you've seemed really tired lately. Are you sleeping okay?" He looked up from his plate, wary. "Yeah, fine. Why?" "Well." I hesitated, as if reluctant to worry him. "Today when I came home, Jonathan, the night doorman, he stopped me. He said something kind of strange." Marcus's fork clattered onto his plate. "What did he say?" "He said that during the week I was gone, he saw you leaving the building around 2 or 3 a.m. several times. He was concerned because you'd come back near dawn, and he thought maybe something was wrong. Health issues, maybe." I reached across the table to touch his hand. "Are you feeling okay? Have you been having trouble sleeping?" The color drained from Marcus's face so fast I thought he might faint. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the air conditioning set to 68 degrees. That old man. He's probably confused. Maybe he saw someone else's car. That's what I told him. But he insisted it was our black Audi, even remembered the license plate. He said. I lowered my voice as if sharing something embarrassing. He said one time you were heading toward the direction of Elena and David's neighborhood on the east side. Marcus pushed back from the table abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the hardwood. That's ridiculous. Why would I go there in the middle of the night? That's what I wondered. Unless. I paused, letting manufactured concern flood my expression. Marcus, I've been reading about stress-induced sleep disorders. Some people sleepwalk when they're under pressure and don't even remember it. What if you've been driving while sleepwalking? That's incredibly dangerous. I watched his mind race, seeing him grab onto this absurd explanation like a drowning man clutching a life preserver. Maybe that's it. I have been really stressed about the gallery situation. We should see a doctor. I insisted, my voice full of wifely worry. Tomorrow. I'll make an appointment with a neurologist. No. His response was too loud, too panicked. He cleared his throat, moderating his tone. I mean, let's not overreact. I'll just take some melatonin. I'll be fine. I studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, but if Jonathan mentions it again, we're going to the doctor. I couldn't bear it if something happened to you out there alone at night. His hand shook as he reached for his water glass, and I knew fear was taking root in his mind exactly as I'd planned. While Marcus spiraled into paranoid anxiety at home, I was building my case with cold precision. The private investigator Claire recommended, a former FBI agent named Thomas Gray, had been following my husband and sister for a week. When we met at a discreet coffee shop on the other side of town, Thomas slid a thick manila envelope across the table. His expression held professional sympathy. Mrs. Chun, I'm sorry. What's in here? It's not easy to see. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope, but I forced myself to look at every single photograph. Each one was a knife to the heart. Marcus and Elena having lunch at an outdoor cafe, hands intertwined across the table. Marcus feeding Elena dessert, both of them laughing like teenagers. Them entering a budget motel at 1:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, while I was in a client meeting, and emerging 73 minutes later with rumpled clothes and satisfied smiles. The timestamps proved they didn't even wait for my business trips. They were meeting during lunch breaks, stolen afternoons, any moment they could carve out of their day. One photo showed Marcus wiping chocolate from Elena's lip with his thumb, gazing at her with an expression of tender adoration I hadn't seen directed at me in years. Maybe ever. I remembered that particular Tuesday. I'd called Marcus around 2:30 p.m. to ask if he wanted me to pick up groceries. He'd answered in a hushed voice, claiming he was in an important gallery meeting and couldn't talk. The timestamp on this photograph read 2:28 p.m. He'd been in that motel room with my sister when he took my call. There's more, Thomas said quietly. Financial records. He showed me printouts of bank accounts I'd never known existed. Marcus had opened a separate checking account at a different bank, one he'd kept completely hidden from me. Regular deposits from our joint account, amounts small enough not to raise immediate flags, had been funneling into this secret account for nearly a year. From there, the money flowed to Elena. Rent payments for a downtown condo I'd never heard of, deposits into her personal accounts, payments to luxury retailers. The condo is registered under his mother's name, Thomas explained. But your husband pays the mortgage and all utilities. Your sister has keys. The doorman confirmed she visits 3 to 4 times per week. They had a love nest. A whole separate life built with my money during the hours I was working to support us all. I carefully returned each photograph to the envelope, my hand steadier now. The initial shock had calcified into something harder, colder. Thank you, Thomas. Send your final invoice to my attorney. And please prepare to testify if needed. As I drove back to my office, I made a decision. It was time to move this chess game into its next phase. Tonight, I would throw the first stone into their perfect little pond and watch the ripples turn into waves. That Sunday, winter arrived with a vengeance, bringing icy winds that cut through the city streets. My phone rang, my mother suggesting a family dinner. It's been so long since we've all been together, sweetheart. Come over and let me feed you properly. Perfect timing. When Marcus and I arrived at my parents' home in the suburbs, David and Elena had just pulled up as well. David, my hard-working younger brother, looked tired but happy in his worn jacket, carrying bags of expensive fruit for our parents. He waved cheerfully. Sister, brother-in-law, great to see you. Elena stepped out of their car, and I had to admire her audacity. She wore a form-fitting burgundy dress with a cashmere wrap, hair styled in elegant waves, makeup flawless. But what caught my eye, what made my pulse spike with fury, was the necklace. A delicate white gold chain with a single diamond pendant that caught the light beautifully. The $12,500 necklace from Tiffany's. The one Marcus had purchased while crying poverty to me. Dinner was lively. My parents were thrilled to have all their children together. David kept serving Elena, peeling shrimp for her, adjusting her wrap when the air conditioning made her cold. His love for her was so pure, so trusting, it made me want to scream. Elena kept touching that necklace nervously, an unconscious habit that betrayed her guilt. Marcus, sitting beside me, had barely touched his food. Every time Elena's fingers went to that necklace, his jaw tightened. When everyone had relaxed after the meal, I struck. Elena! I exclaimed as if just noticing. That necklace is absolutely stunning. Is it new? It looks like really quality craftsmanship. Every head turned toward Elena's neck. Marcus's wine glass stopped halfway to his mouth, frozen in midair. Elena's hand flew to the necklace, her eyes darting to Marcus in panic. This? Oh, it's nothing. Just costume jewelry I got online. Super cheap, maybe $30. Her laugh was too high, too nervous. Really? I leaned forward, squinting as if examining it closely. Wow, the crystal quality looks so real. I could have sworn that was a genuine diamond. It has that specific sparkle, you know? I turned to Marcus with a playful smile. Honey, doesn't it look real? Marcus had gone completely pale, sweat visible on his upper lip. I don't really know about jewelry. Well, it's beautiful on you. I continued, my voice honey-sweet. Marcus, you should get me something similar. I never wear jewelry anymore because I'm always working, but seeing how lovely Elena looks. Maybe for our anniversary next month. Marcus's response was strangled. Sure. Yeah. Maybe. David, oblivious to the undercurrents, grinned proudly. My wife looks good in everything. Though I tell her not to wear too much of that cheap stuff. Might irritate her skin. I watched Elena's relief that her husband suspected nothing. Watched Marcus gulp his wine like it was water. And I smiled because I knew. That necklace around her neck was really a noose and soon I'd pull it tight. The following week, Marcus's company held their annual winter gala. A black tie event where executives networked and showed off their picture-perfect lives. As the wife of a rising art director, I was expected to attend, to smile and play my part. I chose a stunning emerald green gown that hugged every curve, had my hair professionally styled, hired a makeup artist. I wanted to look absolutely flawless, not to win back Marcus's attention, but so everyone could see exactly what kind of woman he was betraying. At the gala, champagne flowed and orchestra music filled the elegant ballroom. I smiled, chatted, played the role of devoted wife to perfection. Marcus stayed close to me, hyper-aware of my every move, his anxiety practically radiating off him. My target for the evening was Patricia Thornton, the CEO's wife. A woman known throughout the company as the most prolific gossip in Chicago's corporate social circles. If Patricia knew something, the entire company would know it by Monday morning. I found her admiring ice sculptures near the dessert table. Patricia, that dress is absolutely gorgeous on you. We chatted about fashion and vacation plans before I sighed dramatically, glancing around as if to ensure privacy. Patricia's eyes lit up immediately. She could smell gossip the way sharks smell blood. Valerie dear, is something wrong? You seem troubled. I bit my lip, hesitating perfectly. Oh, Patricia, I probably shouldn't say anything. It's so embarrassing. Nonsense. You can trust me. What's going on? I lowered my voice, moving closer. It's just, the doorman at our building has been telling me things. He says that while I was traveling last month, he saw Marcus leaving very late at night. Multiple times. And he says there was always a woman in the car with him. Patricia's champagne glass nearly slipped from her hand. A woman? Are you certain? The doorman seemed sure. And he said. I paused for effect, wringing my hands. He said the woman looked very familiar. That she might have been Elena, my own sister. But that's crazy, right? They're family. Your sister. Patricia's voice rose an octave before she remembered where we were and lowered it to an urgent whisper. Oh my God, Valerie. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding, I said quickly, my eyes welling with manufactured tears. Maybe Marcus was just giving her a ride somewhere? I trust my husband completely. I'm worried about malicious gossip, you know? How rumors can hurt careers. Please don't tell anyone. The more I defended Marcus, the more convinced Patricia became of his guilt. She patted my arm with exaggerated sympathy. Oh, you poor sweet naive thing. Don't you worry. I'll keep my ears open and let you know if I hear anything. Translation. She'd tell everyone at this party before the night was over. By Monday morning, Marcus's reputation would be in tatters, and he'd never know I was the one who destroyed it. The office gossip worked faster than even I'd anticipated. By Wednesday, Marcus came home looking like he'd aged 5 years in 5 days. His tie was loosened, shirt wrinkled, the smell of whiskey heavy on his breath. He threw his briefcase onto the couch with uncharacteristic violence. Those goddamn busybodies. Always inventing stories, always trying to tear people down. I looked up from my laptop, carefully arranging my features into innocent concern. What happened? Who's inventing stories? Marcus paced like a caged animal. People at the office. They're spreading ridiculous rumors about me, saying I'm. He stopped, seeming to reconsider his words. They're saying things that aren't true. Lies meant to sabotage my career. What kind of lies? I pressed gently. His bloodshot eyes studied me, searching for any sign that I was part of the problem. But I kept my expression worried and supportive. It doesn't matter. Just gossip from jealous people. I stood up, crossing to him, forcing myself to touch his arm reassuringly. Marcus, you know what they say, you can't stop people from talking. The best thing to do is ignore it completely. If you get defensive, it just makes people think there's something to hide. But if you have nothing to hide, then nobody can actually hurt you. My last sentence hit its target. His face twitched, fear flashing across his features before he could mask it. Right. Yeah. I haven't done anything wrong. That night, Marcus barely slept. He tossed and turned, checked his phone obsessively. Around 1 a.m., he slipped out of bed and into the bathroom, closing the door. I heard the sound of the shower turning on. His attempt to muffle his phone conversation. But our apartment had thin walls, and I'd always had excellent hearing. His voice tense and urgent. Elena, we need to cool it. People are talking. No, I can't come over tonight. Because it's too risky. Stop crying, you're being dramatic. Fine. I'll figure something out. When he returned to bed 20 minutes later, his body was rigid with stress. I pretended to sleep peacefully, but inside, I was cataloging every piece of his unraveling. The next morning, I deployed my next strategic move. Marcus, I've been thinking about our finances. With your gallery reducing commissions, we need to be more careful. I want to pull about $80,000 from our joint savings account and invest it in that tech startup Claire told me about. It's a limited time opportunity. The color drained from his face so quickly I thought he might collapse. 80,000? That's a lot. Can't we wait? Why would we wait? That money is just sitting there earning nothing. I tilted my head, studying him. Unless there's a reason we can't access it? His mouth opened and closed silently, and I watched him realize he was trapped between the truth and another lie. Marcus ran his hand through his hair. A gesture I'd learned meant he was desperately trying to invent a believable story. Actually, I need to tell you something. I didn't want to worry you because you have so much on your plate already, but... He took a deep breath. I invested most of our savings in the stock market. Blue chip stocks supposed to be safe. But the market crashed last month and right now we're down about 40%. If I pull the money out now, we lose everything. We need to wait for it to recover. I let my face show shock, disappointment, betrayal. You invested our savings without telling me? Marcus, that was money for emergencies. For our future. I know. I thought I was doing something good for us. I messed up. But I promise, as soon as the market recovers, I'll pull it all out and you can manage everything. I'm sorry. His performance was almost convincing. Almost. But I knew the truth. There were no stocks. The money was gone, transferred in chunks to that secret account, spent on Elena's condo, wasted on jewelry and luxury gifts for my sister. I let silence hang between us for a long, uncomfortable moment. Then I sighed heavily. Fine. I'll give you time to fix this. But Marcus, if I find out you're hiding anything else from me. I left the threat hanging. I'm not. I swear. That afternoon, while Marcus was at the gallery, I met with Claire in her law office downtown. The trap is almost complete, I told her, spreading out all my evidence on her conference table. Photos, bank statements, text message transcripts, witness statements. He's buried himself in lies. Now I just need the final piece. Claire studied the timeline I'd created. You're certain about the next step? Absolutely. It's time to bring Elena into the spotlight. That evening, I sent a carefully crafted text to my sister. Hey sis. Haven't seen you much lately. Want to grab lunch tomorrow? Just the two of us? I miss talking to you. Red heart. Her response came 20 minutes later. Sure. Tomorrow works. Where? That Italian place you love downtown. 12:30. Perfect. See you there. Smiling face with smiling eyes. I stared at her cheerful emoji response and felt nothing but cold calculation. Elena had always been the weaker link, more emotional, more prone to cracking under pressure. While Marcus was busy being paranoid about office gossip and doorman sightings, I was about to destabilize his mistress directly. Tomorrow I would sit across from my sister. I would smile. I would chat about ordinary things, weather, family, maybe even ask about her and David's marriage. I would watch her squirm, wondering if I knew, wondering how much I'd discovered. And then, at exactly the right moment, I would casually mention something that would make her realize her perfect secret affair was becoming very, very public. Because a guilty conscience is a powerful weapon, and I was about to detonate Elena's like a bomb. The Italian restaurant was elegant but not ostentatious, white tablecloths, soft jazz playing. The smell of fresh bread and basil in the air. I arrived early, chose a table near the window where the winter sunlight would make that diamond necklace sparkle unmistakably. Elena walked in 15 minutes late, looking nervous despite her designer outfit. The necklace was there, catching the light exactly as I'd anticipated. She'd worn it deliberately, unable to resist showing off Marcus's gift even in front of me. The psychological term for it is duper's delight, the unconscious need of liars to flaunt their deception. Valerie. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was crazy. She hugged me, and I smelled Marcus's cologne still lingering on her clothes from some recent encounter. We ordered salads for both, sparkling water, and made small talk about our parents, about the weather, about nothing important. I watched Elena relax slightly, believing this was just a normal sisterly lunch. Then I struck. Elena, I wanted to ask you something. It's probably nothing, but... I paused, stirring my water thoughtfully. Have you noticed people acting strange around you lately? At work? Or in your social circles? Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. Strange? What do you mean? It's just that at Marcus's company gala last week, several people gave me these odd looks. Sympathetic looks, like they felt sorry for me. And when I mentioned you and David, a few of them got really quiet and awkward. I shook my head, feigning confusion. It was so weird. The color had drained from Elena's face. That's probably nothing. Corporate people are always drama. That's what I thought too. I agreed enthusiastically. But then yesterday, Marcus came home absolutely furious. Apparently there are rumors going around his office. Ridiculous stuff, really. I leaned in conspiratorially. They're saying he's having an affair. Can you imagine? Marcus. Elena's hand went to her necklace unconsciously, fidgeting with the chain. Her voice came out too high. That's insane. Who would say something like that? I know. But here's the really weird part. I looked directly into her eyes. Some of the gossip specifically mentions that the woman might be someone in the family. Someone close to both of us. I watched my sister's face cycle through emotions: shock, fear, guilt, panic. Her breathing had become shallow. That's ridiculous. Who would even think? Right? It's completely crazy. I took a sip of water, letting the moment stretch. But Elena, I have to ask, when you came by our apartment that Thursday I was traveling, the day your car was in my parking spot for 3 hours, what were you doing there? The question hung in the air like a blade. Elena's eyes went wide, her mouth opening and closing without sound. And in that frozen moment I knew she was about to crack. Elena's face had gone from pale to gray. Her hand trembled visibly as she set down her fork, which clattered against the plate. I was just dropping off some documents for David. Marcus wasn't even there. Really? Because the doorman's security log shows Marcus's keycard accessed the apartment at 1:47 p.m. that day. And your car didn't leave until 4:23 p.m. That's a long time to drop off documents, Elena. The lie crumbled in real time. I watched my sister's face collapse, tears welling in her eyes. Valerie, Her voice broke. How long? I asked quietly, my tone almost gentle. How long have you been sleeping with my husband? The question landed like a physical blow. Elena's sob was loud enough that nearby diners glanced over. She buried her face in her hands. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to happen. Just It started at your anniversary party last year. We were both drunk, and one thing led to another, and then we couldn't stop. 11 months. They've been betraying me for 11 months. Does David know? I asked. God, no. He can't know. It would destroy him. Valerie, please. What about the necklace you're wearing right now? The one that cost $12,000 of my money? Does David think that's costume jewelry too? Elena's hand flew to the necklace, her eyes widening with the realization that I knew everything. Marcus said you wouldn't notice the money. He said you never checked the accounts. I didn't. Until recently. I leaned back in my chair, remarkably calm. I know about the condo, the secret bank account, the late-night meetings. I have photos, Elena, videos, bank statements, text messages. I have evidence of everything. My sister looked like she might vomit. Are you going to tell David? That depends. On what? Hope flickered desperately in her tearful eyes. On what you do next. I pulled out my phone, opening a document I prepared. Tomorrow, you're going to sign a sworn affidavit admitting to the affair. You'll detail the timeline, the financial aspects, everything. You'll turn over all gifts Marcus bought you. And you'll agree to testify in divorce proceedings if necessary. Valerie, you can't. I can. And I will. You have two choices. Cooperate fully, or I hand all my evidence to David, your employer, your friends, and every member of our family. I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you've done. I smiled coldly. Your reputation, your marriage, your career. I can destroy all of it with one email blast. Or you can help me destroy Marcus instead. Elena stared at me, horror and realization dawning that I'd orchestrated this entire confrontation. You're giving me a choice between betraying Marcus or losing everything? Yes. And you have until tomorrow at noon to decide. I stood up, placed cash on the table for my untouched meal, and walked out, leaving my sister sobbing into her hands, her diamond necklace catching the light like tears made solid. Elena chose survival, as I knew she would. The next morning, she arrived at Claire's office with David's grandmother's diamond earrings still in her ears and mascara-stained cheeks. She signed the affidavit with a shaking hand, confessed to everything in recorded testimony, and surrendered the necklace, designer bags, and other gifts Marcus had bought her. What about David? She whispered as she prepared to leave. Will you tell him? That's your job, I replied coldly. You have 1 week to confess to your husband, or I'll do it for you. What you did to me, you also did to him. He deserves to know the truth. As Elena left, broken and terrified, Claire turned to me. You're ready for the final move? I nodded. Send Marcus the divorce papers. Today. That evening I came home to find Marcus in the living room. An express delivery envelope torn open on the coffee table. The divorce petition lay scattered across the couch. His face was ashen, disbelieving. Valerie? What the hell is this? I set down my briefcase calmly. Exactly what it looks like. I'm divorcing you. But why? We can work through whatever. I pulled out my phone, opened the video I'd recorded that first day, and pressed play. The sounds of his and Elena's betrayal filled our living room. His voice. My wife's become nothing but a walking ATM. She believes everything I say. Marcus lunged for the phone, but I pulled it back. I have copies. Multiple copies. Cloud storage, Claire's office, a secure deposit box. Valerie, please. I can explain. There's nothing to explain. My voice was ice. I know about the affair, all 11 months of it. I know about the secret bank account, the condo you bought with my money, the $67,000 you stole from our family to fund your relationship with my sister. I have photos of you together, sworn testimony, and bank records proving you committed financial fraud. He collapsed onto the couch, his face in his hands. I made a mistake. We can fix this. No, Marcus. You made 1,000 calculated choices. You didn't slip and fall into my sister's bed. You planned it, you funded it with my money, and you lied to my face every single day. What do you want? I'll do anything. I want you out of this apartment by tomorrow. You'll sign the divorce agreement without contesting a single clause. You'll return every penny you took from our accounts. If you have to sell that condo or max out your credit cards, I don't care. You'll give me an uncontested divorce, and in exchange, I won't file criminal charges for fraud, and I won't send this video to every person in your professional network. You're destroying my life. No, I corrected him, my voice deadly quiet. I'm simply revealing the destruction you caused yourself. You destroyed our marriage, our family, and your own integrity. I'm just making sure you pay the full price for it. I walked past him to our bedroom, began packing his belongings into boxes, and didn't shed a single tear. 6 months later, I stood in my new high-rise apartment, smaller than the one I'd shared with Marcus but entirely mine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline. Everything was clean, modern, mine. The divorce had been finalized last month. Marcus got nothing except his personal belongings and the debt he'd accumulated. I'd recovered most of the money he'd stolen, though some was lost forever. The condo he'd bought for Elena had been sold. Proceeds split according to the settlement. Elena and David were divorced as well. She'd confessed everything to him, and my brother had been devastated but ultimately chose dignity over staying in a poisoned marriage. He'd moved to Seattle for a fresh start, texted me occasionally to say he was doing better. Marcus had moved back in with his mother, his reputation in the corporate art world thoroughly destroyed after anonymous sources leaked information about his affair and financial misconduct to industry contacts. His career was effectively over. Elena had moved to Phoenix, away from the wreckage. And I'd received a promotion at work, made partner in my consulting firm. My business was thriving, my bank accounts were healthy, and for the first time in 12 years, I was sleeping soundly at night. I'd also started dating again, carefully, slowly, with my eyes wide open this time. No more blind trust. No more sacrificing myself completely for someone else. Claire visited that first evening in my new apartment, bringing champagne and takeout from our favorite Thai place. To new beginnings, she toasted, raising her glass. To surviving betrayal and coming out stronger, I countered. We clinked glasses and looked out at the city lights together. Do you ever regret how you handled it? Claire asked. The strategic approach instead of just confronting them immediately? I considered the question. No. If I just screamed and cried and confronted them that first day, I would have been the crazy emotional wife. I would have lost assets in the divorce, probably lost the moral high ground. They would have painted me as unstable, controlling, the villain in their love story. Instead, I controlled the narrative. I gathered evidence, I protected my finances, and I made sure everyone knew the truth. They destroyed themselves with their own choices and lies. I just documented it. Claire smiled. Remind me never to cross you. I laughed. A real laugh, the kind I hadn't experienced in months. The lesson isn't about revenge. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone take it from you. We ate Thai food and drank champagne and talked late into the night. And I realized something profound. I wasn't broken. I was rebuilt. Stronger, wiser, and finally truly free.